Hi, everyone. I'm Stan Mallow. Welcome to Paranormal Yacker. My guest in today's show is Christian CagigalHis, owner and operator of the San Francisco Ghost Hunt, San Francisco's award-winning ghost tour company. Christian CagigalHis, welcome to Paranormal Yacker.
Thank you for having me.
Christian, you're a highly respected professional magician who has performed successfully across the globe. You're also a successful actor and writer and have produced a number of well-received theatrical events. With your talent, you could branch out into any area. You chose to get involved in organizing ghost tours of San Francisco. How did that come about?
So it's a weird story. So the ghost tour, the SF Ghost Hunt, started back in 1998. It was created by my friend Jim Fassbinder. We knew each other from magic. We both love to perform magic. He wanted to create kind of this place where he could kind of express himself and perform, and especially express his love of San Francisco and of ghost stories. And I was getting my degree in theater at the time, and I was already becoming known for telling magic with stories. So he wanted me to come on board. So I did as a kind of a co-director and creative consultant. Did research for him. I gave the tour a bunch of times for Jim as well back then. He continued running the tour for 17 years, sometimes 7 nights a week. And then after a while, like 5-6 years ago, he was like, "Hey, Christian, I'm going to be retiring soon. I'm going to be turning 70. I'm going to move to Kauai." And I had been going through a life of being in the arts, especially in theater and doing fringe festivals. And, you go broke and you get exhausted being broke and having debt. I thought to myself, he really created this really successful thing. As far as we knew, it's the first ghost tour in San Francisco. He ran it really beautifully. He always got repeat business, always got in the paper all the time. I mean, to this day, I'm getting his repeat business. So, which is not typical for any kind of walking tour where people want to come back on it because the memories were so special for them. And I thought to myself, it'd be smart for me to take over this business. I was a little scared because what it would do to the rest of my career. But yeah, I purchased it from him 6 years ago. I've been running it for the past, I'm losing track of time, 5-6 years. I run it 9 months out of the year. There's 12 weeks out of the year where there's downtime for tourism here, for me at least. So that's when I run away to New York, and I live part-time in New York now. I get to be a magician in New York, partially funded, in the beginning, funded by the ghost tour. Now I have New York work as well. But yeah, so I get to run it 9 months out of the year, typically February to Halloween, with a few times for the holidays. 5 nights a week, 6 to 7 nights a week throughout October. And yeah, I've been very lucky where I get to make my job a light commute into the city, because I'm just outside of San Francisco. A light commute into the city where I get to tell haunted history and ghost stories and history of my favorite city in the world to nice people from all over the world, and make decent money and get to live out my dreams.
That's cool. Now, this interview, Christian, is taking place while the world is pretty much in a lockdown due to COVID-19. However, we are now seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. Since my interview with you will remain on my YouTube channel long after the pandemic is over, I want to touch base with you on both your in-person walking tours and your virtual fireside Zoom events. So here goes. What areas do you cover on your in-person walking tours? Why did you choose them? And what is there about them that they are considered to be haunted?
So Jim actually chose the original neighborhood, and he had gone through many haunted San Francisco books until he really felt he had the location that he wanted. And so that's the lower Pacific Heights, Japantown neighborhood, because people don't realize is that that's the side of the city that did not burn down in the 1906 earthquake. People think the whole place burned down, which is not true. Just the eastern half burned down. The western half was saved. And so all that architecture is original to the 1860s, 1880s, 1890s. It's all beautiful old mansions. And, rich people in the Victorian era in San Francisco were very eccentric, and they have eccentric tales, which become ghost stories. And yeah, so it's a busy neighborhood still, but it's a quieter neighborhood than Union Square or Fisherman's Wharf. So, and they're all in a cluster right there. So we don't have to take you halfway across town on a 3-hour tour, right? And then dump you off. We can kind of make a loop. So it's a nice thing for the tourists. It's a nice thing for the locals. People, both locals and tourists, get to see a side of the city they never really see typically. They get to walk through Pacific Heights in the evening. August is actually typically one of our foggiest months of the year. We call it Fogust. So, it's cold, it's foggy, the fog is coming in low, the street lights are going through, there are these beautiful old mansions. We're standing in front of haunted locations telling you stories about crazy things that have happened in the city. So it just kind of works out nicely that way. So that's where everything's at, and how all that works and what people experience.
Have any participants in your walking tours experienced paranormal activity while on a tour? And if they did, how did that paranormal activity manifest itself?
I mean, I could tell you a quick handful. There's one location where there are these 6 eucalyptus trees, where the ghost of those trees, and I don't want to give everything away, but the ghost of those trees still likes to make their presence known. She planted those trees back in the 1850s, and so people seem to get pelted with acorns, with gum nuts, essentially what they're called in Australia, with gum nuts, because I have them right here, and not on their head. It's like from behind on their back. So I've had people like sidle up next to me as we walk to the next location and say, I thought my friends were playing a prank on me because I kept on getting hit, and they looked behind me and there was no one there, right? Stuff like that. There was another location where I had like this small group of women, professionals, early 30s, it was just kind of a fun gals night out in October for them, right? In front of this one location, this big double mansion spot. And I'd heard this before, but I could never find a source for it, where in the 2 attic windows, there's a flash of light that happens. And it does not seem to be somebody inside with a camera, and it does not seem to be a consistent flashing of, say, like a bus headlight or something like that, right? And this one woman saw the flash, but I was too busy talking to notice. And she saw the flash, and she was just kind of like this is literally the face she made. And I thought she was just joking, because it was so clownish. And then we realized she's not joking. She was like, did anybody see that? You saw that? No, nobody saw that? And then tears began to well up in her eyes. And she's just like shaking. And her friends go, no, you don't understand. She never does anything like this. She's not that person in the group. I suddenly, you're going from trying to give an entertaining and educational walking tour to having to play counselor and just kind of like, calm her down and calm everybody else down before I try and move on and say, for our next story, right? What else had happened? I could tell you a longer story. I worked briefly for Jim back in college, and we started in a certain haunted hotel that is no longer associated with the tour, so I won't mention their name. But it used to be a school for girls, and the headmistress has said to still take care of the place. So it was late August, back when back to school was after Labor Day, and lots of families. So I had like 40, 50 people on the tour, lots of kids. And I had a friend there who had just started going to the Berkeley Psychic Institute. And we thought it'd be fun for him to come on the tour. So we get to walk into room 410, which was her office and residence of the woman whose spirit haunts the place. And I open the door for people to walk in. And people are walking in single file. And the lights start flickering like crazy. Off and on, off and on. Now, I've been in this hotel many times. The rewiring had long since happened. This is not what it does. People think it's me behind the door, messing with the light switch, right? But the light switch is on the other side of the door. I can't reach it. So I think it's a kid messing with the light switch, but nobody even sees it. It's behind them as they walk into the room. So when we all realize that none of us could have touched the light switch, we all start freaking out. And when I start freaking out, everybody starts freaking out, right? Because I'm the tour guide. Again, everybody has to get their nervous titters out and the giggling and the little bit of fear and panic. I have to calm everybody down. Again, I now have to play therapist and kind of emotional guide to then swing them back into walking tour mode and be the entertaining walking tour guide. At the end of all that, I say, hey, okay, bathroom break, and I'll meet you outside in 5 minutes. They all leave. And I ask my friend Bill, it's me and him alone. I say, Bill, okay, what was that? I got no clue. He said something that other psychics had said before him. And again, he did not know where we were going to be going on this tour, right? So there's no way he could do research. There was no Google map yet for him to be going through. He says, I don't think it's Mary. I think she takes care of the place. But I think it's the former students of the school. I'm sorry, I think Mary visits, but I think it's the former students of the school that really take care of the place. And that 11-year-old girl in the orange jacket, they recognize her and they were saying hi. Okay, good a story as any, right?
Yes.
We step out of the room. It's kind of like the walkway, then there's a railing just in front of the door with the stairs that go, right? The last heads are going down the stairs in front of us, right? There's a little boy at the top of the stairs right over here, staring straight up, mouth agape. He says to me and Bill, this one just did the same thing too. Without missing a beat, Bill and I step forward, grab onto the railing, lean down, and the last person to walk by that light was the same 11-year-old girl in the orange jacket. And while there have been other things that have happened on the tour, I never really experienced them. I was too busy talking. People have to tell me what's going on. I'm not somebody who has experiences. I don't see things. I don't feel things. That was the one time that I really had anything that made me go, if it's a coincidence, it's a darn good one. I have no answer.
That is an incredible story. Thank you for sharing that. Did any ghost tour participants capture orbs, spirits, or other paranormal phenomena with their cameras or other recording devices? And if they did, could you tell me what they captured?
Yeah, typically what happened in the hotel, we're no longer part of that hotel. Luckily, there's another nearby hotel that also turned out to also have hauntings that I did not know about originally, and thankfully we associate with them now. And so, but in both locations, it's harder outside because you kind of can't quite tell if something is an orb or a lens flare in the night. But first of all, the orbs started popping up more with digital photography. Like when everything was just like a little point and shoot from Walgreens, a little Kodak self-developed, nothing was really happening. But then all the digital cameras started like popping up more. And yeah, very typically I tell people, take 3 shots in a row. Now they can do it off their phone, right? Don't move, frame it, and then take 3 shots in a row. If there's a spot of light in all 3, I make the joke, it's probably the lamppost. But if there's a spot of light in just one and you did not move, that might be something. It's not uncommon that they don't move and there's a spotlight, there's a spot of light, an orb in one of those photographs and not the other 3. And you can tell they did not move. Sometimes they did not move and the orb moved, right? It goes like animation, tick, 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 right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's happened, usually happens a handful of times every year.
Now, do you have any theories as to why some people, when passing into spirit, will ascend to the other side, wherever that other side may be, and others, such as the ones encountered on your tours, choose to remain earthbound?
To be upfront and full disclosure for your audience, I joke and I say I'm the tooth fairy agnostic, or I say I'm an atheist, but I say I'm an agnostic for the true sake of atheism. My other joke is I believe in atheism, but I don't believe in atheists. I think atheists are too busy fighting something else, some other demon in their mind, with how angry they can get. But I'm open to the idea, right? Or I say I can't prove it either way, which means I can't say scientifically another side or spirits aren't real or not. So for me, what I've always seemed to notice is that ghosts seem to be always unfinished business, right? On my tour, it's the runaway bride who was being forced into arranged marriage. It's the feminist writer that got forgotten. It's a civil rights fighter that got demonized and forgotten. And those seem to be the ones that stick around, right? So I say whether ghosts are real or whether they are invented, they are always unfinished business that we have with them. And if we maybe dealt with that unfinished business, especially culturally, maybe they could finally move on.
That makes a lot of sense. Your safe and socially distant fireside Zoom edition of the San Francisco Ghost Hunt is, in my opinion, brilliant. I compliment you on coming up with it. It's very much needed and definitely serves a purpose. Could you elaborate on what it encompasses?
The location is here. I'm doing both these virtual fireside chats and my magic shows here. Of course, it's darker, and I got a little virtual flame over here, little LED flame. But it's essentially me doing storytelling from home. But now I get to tell you stories from all over San Francisco, not just the ones from the neighborhood, right? Which has been exciting for me to get to be able to do. Here's an example of what it looks like. And then from here, that's Jim. That's me, because in the beginning I have to explain to people, no, really, this is actually what I do for a living. And then I'm essentially doing a slideshow of haunted history of San Francisco. This is from out in the Presidio, the Ohlone people, Mexican-American War, all leading up to the building of what became the old Letterman, abandoned Letterman Army Hospital out in the Presidio, which is now the home of Lucasfilm and the Letterman Digital Arts Center, which apparently does have stories. And I was excited to discover that. So that's how I do it. And then when all that is said and done, it's about an hour. And then go back to this. And then I do a little bit of like spooky haunted magic with my close-up camera. I even go like that. So now it's just this. And I have the thing I do with like old photographs and personal items and whatnot. But yeah, but that's how that works. It's a entertaining hour and 10 minutes, hour and 15, depending. And everybody gets something. Like, I want to make sure, for me, it's very important that everybody has a good time. Because, every ghost tour operator understands the pain of there's always somebody, like half the audience was dragged on a ghost tour, right? Right. There's always somebody who wanted to come and everybody else who had to come. And so I want to make sure, whether it's virtual or IRL, that there's something for everybody. That's a little bit of entertainment. Even if you don't believe in ghosts, here's a good ghost story for you. You're going to learn something about this city you never even thought about before. So even the locals and natives can come away from the experience with something. So
should viewers of Paranormal Yacker want to learn more about your in-person San Francisco ghost walks and your fireside Zoom edition, how do they go about doing that?
They can go to sfghosthunt.com, not SF Ghosts, because that's a different company, sfghosthunt.com. You'll see that same logo you just saw. You'll scroll down, you'll see my face. You found the right ghost tour. There's even a little short video that kind of like gives you a sense of what it's like. If you need to try and like sell your friends on joining you. And it's right now I'm running it tomorrow. I don't know when this is going to go up, but tomorrow is already sold out. But I'm running it Wednesdays throughout December at 7 p.m. Pacific time. And until this pandemic is over, I'll probably be doing like a month on, a month off, because I will not be jumping to giving in-person tours anytime soon. I want a vaccine first in my body.
Okay, that's wonderful. And again, a lot of people who are in their houses now also, when they do plan their trips later on, when we have the vaccine and everything is good, I mean, absolutely, your in-person tour has to be a top on their list. I highly recommend it. I know a lot about it, and you do a wonderful job with it. Christian CagigalHis, I thank you for being my guest on Paranormal Yacker. I thoroughly enjoyed our time together. You are the ultimate showman in every sense of the word. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Hi, everyone. I'm Stan Mallow, the Paranormal Yacker. I hope you enjoyed the interview you just watched. To be sure you don't miss any interviews on my free YouTube channel, all you have to do is press the subscribe button on your screen.